Holidays certainly seem a long way away, planning for the next one or trying to get your money back for the one you had planned. Tourism accounts for 10% of the 27-member European Union's economic output, higher in some, and it's an industry that has been decimated by COVID-19. This week, EU transport and tourism ministers have been meeting via video conferencing to try to decide what actions may be taken to reopen the industry. Let's speak to Eoghan Corry, who's editor of Travel Extra. Good morning again.
Good morning, Gavin.
First, let's talk about compensation for cancelled holidays and particularly for cancelled flights. Are people ever going to be refunded?
They are going to be refunded. The problem is the legislation, which is clearly in place, EU 261, you are going to be refunded within a certain time period, has been overtaken by events. The EU Commission is taking a pretty hard line on that, saying it stays in place. The European Parliament and the member states, particularly some of the bigger member states, Germany, France, Italy, Netherlands, Ireland has joined that as well. Group of about 12 are saying some sort of leeway has to be given to the airlines and indeed the travel companies. That means some sort of legal recognition of vouchers. The real problem is that that's been implemented by member states. It then goes for to EU approval. But things like state aid for airlines, all those rules seem to be out of the window at the moment. And I'd expect this one as well. I'd await some sort of guidance from the Irish Department of Transport. They did raise it at yesterday's meeting, but we need some sort of recognition for consumers and indeed for travel companies. What are the laws around these vouchers? Are they transferable? How long do they apply? And maybe that'll come in the week to come.
A voucher for a flight, or indeed the promise from a hotel, or indeed somebody else in the tourism sector that they will give you a discount or honour your holiday next year or later in the year, with no guarantee they'll still be there at that time.
Well, the airlines are looking for state. Oddly enough, we've had a lot of airline failures before COVID-19. We've had nothing since then. I'd expect most of them, with the way aid is being dispensed merrily through Europe, would make it as far as winter, and then we'll sort out what happens. The two main Irish airlines are sound, they're cash rich, Ryanair and Aer Lingus, which is owned by IAG. The big issue with them actually is just the processing the claims. If you go onto the internet and change your date or go for a voucher, it's 1 year in the case of Ryanair, it's 5 years in the case of Aer Lingus. It can be done by computer. If you're looking for your money back, all sorts of other things kick in, like money laundering and auditing. So that means that a human has to intervene. To give an example, Ryanair normally get 10,000 refund claims in a month. They're dealing with 10 million now. That's why people are getting emails saying you're going back to the queue. Very important though for Ryanair customers, if you don't do anything, you don't have to take the voucher. There's no action required. If you still want your refund, they will get to you, but it won't be this week or next week.
If you are dreaming of going on holidays, going abroad on holidays anytime soon, is it out of the question, or when can you start planning?
It's not out of the question. We need two things to happen. We need Ireland to unlock. We need the other side to unlock. Our best hope is one of our favourite holiday destinations, the Canaries. They have a low infection rate compared with the rest of Spain. And yesterday, Spain introduced a plan where they'll have a phased unlocking. The Canary Islands, La Gomera, that little piece of heaven off Tenerife, is already there, but you can't actually get there without going through Tenerife. What will happen from May the 11th, all going to plan, the Canaries will start unlocking, and the first two up will be Fuerteventura and Lanzarote. Gran Canaria will probably follow, and Tenerife is a little bit higher rate of infections. But then we are looking at whether the aviators will be ready to bring us, whether they'll be allowed to bring us, and they're already factoring in for July being a good time to actually get started. Like Ryanair would have a hope, all going well, planned to get 40% of its capacity back in the air by July, 60% by August with a 60% load factor, 80% by September with a 70% load factor. And there are resumption dates for July for a lot of our services. For instance, some of the American services and Emirates to Dubai. Doha is still flying, and Etihad would be hoped to be back by then. Some of those look a bit optimistic. Eurocontrol would be a bit more pessimistic, but I would expect, all going well without a second wave or something going wrong with unlocking, that September September, October will be the new July, August, and we will have probably the mother and father of all seat sales. Some listeners will remember the global financial recession 2009, October 2009. Ryanair put on €1 seat sales. I expect something of that magnitude, because really the aviators, holiday people, don't know to what extent the fear factor will have to be overcome to get people back. The only lever they have is the price one, and they're going to pull that.
Eoghan Corry, thanks for speaking to us again. That's Eoghan Corry, travel expert. It's 9:01.